Hello and welcome to our second session, and in this session we are going to discuss about what is a variable. So you can consider variable as empty boxes or containers, and we are going to use these containers to store, manipulate or refer to some information. So variables helps us to store, manipulate and refer to some information, and say for example, I declare a variable as hit points, which we are going to use it in our game, and this hit point is a container and its initial value is set to 20. Now each variable will have a name. For example, here hit point is the name of this variable, and each variable will have a data. Here 20 is the data, and each variable will be of a particular type. For example, here hit points is a variable which is of the type integer because it is storing number. So to write this statement, how are we going to write? We are going to write it as first the type of the variable int space, then the name of the variable hit points, and we are going to assign it a value with the equal sign and say that 20, and this statement we call it as a declaration statement where we are declaring a variable with a value. So we are going to end it with a semicolon. So this is just an example of one type of variable. Now these variables can also be of different types. Say for example, instead of a whole number you have a decimal space. Say for example, I want to now declare a variable called speed, and here the value of this speed is 3.8. So now the type of this variable is not integer, but this is a float. So when I want to declare this variable, I have to declare it as float, type of variable float, space, name of the variable speed, and here we are going to write it as is equal to not just 3.8, and whenever you use decimal places, remember to add the letter f. So this is how we declare variable when we have the variable as a float variable. Then we also have another type of variable which we call as bool. Bool means it is boolean, and this boolean type of variable will have only two values, either it is true or it is false. For example, here we want to declare a variable called as is alive. So you are playing a game, and in the game whether the player has not lost his life, whether he is alive. If he is alive and if he is true, he can move. Say for example, he is hit by the enemy and his actual health is going to decrease, and once his health becomes 0, then this boolean value is alive becomes false, and when it becomes false we can say that he cannot move. So this is the way we are going to use this kind of variable, which we call it as bool variable. We also have another type of variable called as string variable. For example, string name of your variable, for example my name, can be equal to Rick or Satvik or your name. So here only thing is, whenever you are writing the string, you are not going to assign the value directly, but the value should be put inside the inverted comma. So for strings, remember, strings should always be represented inside inverted comma. So these are some of the variables that we are actually going to use in our game here. We are working on Unity, and I will come back to my script here. So right now what we did, we wrote this value along the x, y and z, and instead of writing this value here, what I can do is, I can come to the top here, that is as soon as the code start after this open flower bracket, I will press enter, and I am now going to declare a variable. The type of this variable is float. This is a float variable, and I am going to call it as x. Remember, always variables should start with small letter. This is the rule you have to follow in coding. Variable names you should start with small letter, and I am going to keep the second word letter value as capital. So, I am going to type this as x value, where V is capital. This is called as camel casing, and then I am going to set its value now to this value 0.001 f, and I will end it with semicolon. Now, what I will do is, here in transform dot translate, instead of typing the value directly, I am now going to type, see, automatically when I type the first letter, Visual Studio Code will prompt me and it knows that x value is a variable. I can directly enter x value here. Now, if I go to file, save, and if I execute the game, if I compile the game and if I execute it, so now if I run the game, so this game will have the same effect. So, here the only difference is, we instead of writing the value, coming to Visual Studio Code, instead of writing the value directly, we are assigning, we are declaring a variable and we are assigning the value. Why do we do that? Why can't we declare the value directly here is, if we declare the value like this, then if you are using this, you can manipulate this value. You can add it, subtract it, you can manipulate this value. And second advantage is, if you are using this value in different places of your screen, if you want to change this value, if you change it at one point, it will be applied to all the scenarios. So, this is the way we are going to create the value. So, now what I want you to do is, I will give you a challenge. So, the challenge that I am now going to give you is, you have to now create two more variables. And which are these two more variables? Create a variable for y value and also for the z value. And after this, what you have to do is, you have to change the value of your player so that he is going to fly straight up in the air. So, instead of moving left and right, he has to fly straight. So, this is a challenge for you. You just do it. I will give you a second time. You just see that you have to declare two more variables, y and z, and then change the value so that your player flies straight up in the air. Without seeing my video, first you try to implement it. I will give you a 5-second break. Okay. So, I think you have successfully done it. So, I will show you the answer for this now. Now, come back here to the script, and in the script, to declare the other two variables, we are again going to use float, and we are going to call this as y value, and let us be equal to 0 as of now, and I will also declare float z value, and I am going to make it equal to 0. Then here in the transform translate, I am going to replace this second one with y value and the third 0 with z value. And now, the challenge that was given to you was, how do you make it fly? So, if you come to Unity, so to make it fly, in which direction this should move? It should move in the y direction. So, if I want to make it fly, then I have to come here in the script and I have to change the y value also to some value like 0.01, and I am going to 0.01 f, do not forget to put f. I will save this. Now, I will come back to Unity, wait till the script gets compiled, and now if I run this game, now you can see that it is flying high. See, it is flying high. So, this was a challenge for you, and I think you have successfully done it without seeing this video. Okay. So, with this I will conclude this session. So, you have now understood what is a variable, how to declare a variable, different type of variable, and in our next session we are going to discuss about serialize fields. Thank you.